Hey guys, welcome to this Python Pygame kind of very basic tutorial. Now, I wouldn't say this as much as a tutorial because I'm not going to be teaching you anything to do with Python. You really need to be in here, coming into this with a basic understanding of Pygame and Python. Just really help in general. So, sorry there's a bad mic, I expect there will be. Anyway, basically, this will cover everything to kind of organizing, commenting on code, and just kind of what to do with it. Because I know a lot of people just aren't really sure. You know, they might know the syntax, they might know quite well, but they're not really sure how to put it together and make an actual game out of it. So that's kind of what I'll be covering in this. So yeah. So the first thing I'm obviously going to do is go on to import Pygame. Now I'm not also going to tell you how to install it because again this is the underlying assumption that you know Pygame, know Python, and have it installed and all set up. I'm currently just using the basic Python text editor here that you would download the internet. Nothing paid for, nothing fancy, nothing non-default. So I'm going to import Pygame, and I'm going to put this from pygame.locals import all, which is the star. So I know a lot of tutorials will actually show a template that they've downloaded on the internet or that they've already written. I don't really see how that really helps you because it's kind of counterintuitive, because every single time that you go to a different tutorial or different type of game, then you're gonna need a different template, and I don't see a point in what game. So we'll just be doing it straight off the bat. We're gonna basically, this video is gonna be setting up the basic stuff. I mean, I guess if you have a good understanding of Python, but not a huge amount of Pygame, I guess this would help. But you really need to know the basic bare bones of Pygame, and then you'll be picking up some more stuff and how to apply it and how to use the logic to make a game. So I think we're going to try and make a noughts and crosses game, or tic-tac-toe if you're American. As you can tell, I'm English. So yeah, with this, it's pretty. I mean, it's obviously a very simple game, but it's at the same time will require a lot of code. Maybe I don't know, 300 lines. It is quite strange to think it's such a basic board game, requiring so much setup. Setup. So the first thing we're going to do, like most things, we're going to initiate Pygame. So obviously the very obvious code. I won't be doing commenting right now with the double hashtags, but I will be doing later. So the first, and then of course we have to set a few variables. Display height is equal to, we'll put height can be 600, and then display width. And this is kind of the default thing, or not default, but the standard thing you'll see in most Pygame tutorials, because it's not like too demanding, not too massive, and it also allows you to play around later if you want to have a full screen or a resizable screen, or a screen that's a platformer that you allow to like walk around. It makes it easier to process later on. So then what we'll do is we'll go on to the screen, make a screen variable, which is pygame.display.set underscore mode tuple. I generally forget the tuple. I don't know why, but I do, and it always messes up my code, and I'm left for ages looking at it, wondering why it doesn't work. But I remembered it this time. So display.width, remember it's the width height. Space display height, and then we have the screen variable. So that's and if we want to, we can actually make a caption. So display that's different. So we'll set the caption variable. You don't really need to make a variable for this, but in case you for whatever reason want to change it or alter it without having to write the whole thing out, you could just do this, make a variable. It's much easier. Pygame.display set underscore caption, and then put this, or bracket, or parentheses again if you're American. Then you be putting parentheses. And we'll call that, I don't know, naught tac toe to represent all the possible viewers. Sorry, I'm going to move. Sorry, that's an uncomfortable position I was in just then. So now we have a caption, and we're also going to set a clock, because this is just generally good. The best analogy I've seen of clock and why it's used, because a lot of people know the syntax but don't know why they're typing stuff in. Clock is good because it's the best analogy I've probably seen is that if you play a DOS game on a computer, it's really fast because they had no comprehension of the idea of a really fast computer that could run it really fast. So that had no clock function. Obviously, it probably wasn't written in Python. It's probably written, God knows actually, but in a very old computer language. And it's really fast because you can process it faster. But if we put a limit on how fast it can be, then you can play it. You know, it's basically that. So you do Pygame dot time dot capital C clock brackets, in case, because the brackets mean you can specify you only want one thing to move so fast. That's how a lot of things in this works. We're not going to actually get around to any sprites. This is just setting up the basis and fundamentals of the code. So what I'll probably do here, just under that, I'll highlight all this, tab, and we'll put define main. So yeah, and do that, and then we can go on to doing the actual game loop. So here are all the variables. We haven't actually put into a game loop, so we're going to put it into, this probably makes more sense. You can do running as well, but you do a different code for the game loop. So you're going to put game exit equals false, and then you put while not game exit, and then you put a bracket, and this is the game loop. So the first thing, if you ask someone what the first thing to do with the game is, they're going to reply, make you be able to move the character, import the character, blip the character. But generally this is wrong. Once you get into the game loop, the first thing that you need to do is allow them to quit, which is very obvious, but Pygame doesn't, because basically Python, it's a computer isn't intelligence. Computer isn't user interface. It's not UI. It's not like it has some intuition. It literally does exactly what you tell it to. And if you don't tell it that it's allowed to quit, then it's not going to quit. So we're going to put for event in Pygame, and just in case you're unfamiliar with pygame.event.get, just in case you're unfamiliar with this particular syntax or function, actually I shouldn't call it a function, because the main is a function. It basically it's saying all the events in the Pygame, if this particular event happens, do this. So we're going to put if event dot type. So if the type of event double equals, so if the type of event is equal to a Pygame dot quit in all caps event, then game exit equals true. So basically we're saying here, it's very simple at this stage. While game exit isn't true, because game exit is currently false, while it's true, because while it's not false, which is true, while it's true, sorry, is that? So I'm just, yeah, okay, that is right, yeah. So while it's true, while game exit isn't, while game exit is true, you get the event Pygame.quit, and Pygame.quit is an actual event. Pygame.quit is hitting X on the top right hand. So if the event in this is exiting, then the game exit equals true. So here's the very basic thing of that. Should be saying thing, it's very nondescript. And we'll put down here in the game loop, not in the events, just in the game loop, we're going to put pygame dot display dot update, possibly the most infuriating and important syntax in the entire thing, because you can forget it and it just doesn't work. It only works for a single frame, and yeah, it's just annoying. And then before this, I'm going to put the clock function. So basically, the name of the variable dot tick, which is an actual function, ticking it how many times a second. I'm going to put 60 because that's smooth and generally a good frame rate. Sorry. Go down here. We're going to run. Yeah, we're going to run main. We're going to do pygame.quit. So this is basically after everything happens, which, I mean, generally doing pygame.quit and quit at the end of it is somewhat needless, because if you've written it correctly, it shouldn't ever need to get to that, because you have different functions and then running it differently. But if for somehow you didn't put the right loop in or something and it just ended, then that's what would happen. It wouldn't just crash or that's it. So this is basically the template for the whole thing. We'll save this. Desktop projects, Pygames, Noughts, and I'll make a different one. Don't mind the names though, they're irrelevant. Noughts tac toe. I've seen actually in different languages, I think it was Java, some guy made a text-based, and I somewhat inspired me to make it, because I've already made this. It was text-based, it wasn't that good, and I just thought I could do a better job than that in a worse language. I don't want to call Pygame a worse language, but it is not as good as Java, guys. If you could learn Java, it's probably the best starting language. Actually, it's very debatable. It's a huge. I don't want to open up a can of worms in any comment section. So we're going to put the file name as main. Save it as a py, and then we'll run this and see what happens. I'm just fingers crossed it works. Okay, it's open. Yeah, here we are. See, the caption works, and it allows us to hopefully quit. Does it? Okay, this is an error in the syntax, probably in the event handling. Sometimes it gets, I don't know, maybe I installed it wrong, or something's wrong with it, but generally this happens, and it's generally something to do with Pygame, with the display.update. I'm gonna pause it here, guys, and I'm going to pause it here, and I'm going to probably figure it out, and I'll come back to you, because this is always a pain with my particular OS, or I don't know what it is, but I'll figure it out soon. Okay guys, I'm back. Sorry, let me just look over this code. Sorry, I had to go for a second. Basically, everything seems right, but generally, as you know, that is not. I'm actually looking over I was looking over my other code for other things I've done. It seems to be all right, as far as I can see. Just generally happens, as I said, with annoying. I think it might be. No. Maybe if I put this over in front of this clock tick 60. Try that. It opens Does it close? Doesn't close. Okay, I'm gonna have to look over this. I'll be back in a second and tell you what I've done wrong. So anyway guys, I just spent the best part of an hour figuring out what's wrong with this. And apparently this is wrong. So if you look, this is why I just cried myself to sleep. I'm joking, but about an hour spent doing this, F5ing, and you see if we load it up, nothing happens. It crashes, right? And then if we actually wait for it to properly crash, and then we put brackets, open and close brackets on this. Let me run it. You see what will happen? Depressingly, it'll work. So that was probably just the biggest waste of time I've ever had in my entire life. So yeah, that was pretty depressing. See you next time. We're probably gonna next time do some graphics for it and import them and do all the stuff for that. So thanks guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.